What is up, everybody? I'm Kyle Benjamin. He's Trey Lyle. We are talking Las Vegas, the Pennzoil 400 presented by Jiffy Lube, celebrating Josh Berry's first career win after 53 Cup starts, which is pretty good. A stat of note from this one: uh, these two Wood Brothers victories were separated by 16 races. The last time that happened was in 1981.
Yeah, I think Tom mentioned that on the watch party broadcast today.
Yeah,
That's insane.
it is. That team has not turned things around, but they have steadily grown in recent years. And I think the much closer alliance with Team Penske has helped. And I know last week we talked about this on this very show. Boy, we think Josh Berry's going to get a win sooner rather than later. Now, we were all thinking it was going to be Martinsville, it was going to be Bristol, it was going to be a more short track esque event. And he goes out and is. Not necessarily the class of the field today. I think we can reserve that for one Austin Cindric or Kyle Larson. Uh, but the 21 car was up front all day long. They executed well, and Barry picks up his first career victory.
Yeah, I mean, he was top 5 in both stages, and he was just there. It just seemed to be like this was a weird strategy race with a lot of weird cautions and a lot of issues for contenders, whether it was wrecks or pit road penalties. And himself, I think the 2 tire strategy at a couple points, himself and Daniel Suarez, who battled for the win there, kind of kept their nose clean throughout the day, especially Barry. And he just was in the front row on the final restart and won it.
Yeah, it's really enjoyable afternoon of racing. It was supremely weird. It was an odd Vegas race. A lot of pit road miscues. Um, Handful of guys with tires falling apart. I mean, Chase Briscoe's had a season to forget at this point. After winning the pole for the Daytona 500, they've had nothing but trouble. And we'll talk about Gibbs in a little bit once Brian Nolan joins us from the track, and we'll touch on some of the teams that we thought should be better but are struggling early. But it was the race never really got into like a smooth rhythm. There were periods of green flag activity and some good stretches where there were comers and goers and tire fall off, which is something we need. Again, a pretty solid mile and a half race. This car continues to impress on the mile and a half. And at the end of the day, you got a pretty good story that I think is going to be fairly popular inside the garage. I know Josh Berry, from what we can tell, is he's had a different career trajectory than others. Spent a lot of his time in the late model ranks, worked his way up, ran for Junior Motorsports, ran a season with SHR, now with the Wood Brothers, which is, it's Team Penske adjacent. The 21 car is, prepared in the shop alongside the 2, the 12, and the 22. And I think if you had told me that the 21 would be the Penske car to get its first win of the season before anybody else, out of that shop, I'd have laughed.
Yeah, it looked like Penske had a lot of speed today, but we touched on this last week with Josh Berry. He's been so good and so consistent at the front, and it's weird to call him a rookie. I called him like the veterans rookie. Like he races like a veteran race car driver because he does have like an insane amount of track time. And he's
Yes.
won at Vegas before. He won at Vegas in the Xfinity Series, ironically, in a fill-in role for Michael Annett at JRM. But it just shows me that he's a wheelman. That's what his I believe his crew chief said to him after post race via the radio. And it's very fascinating to watch Josh Berry's career arc because it's kind of old school. We used to see like in the 80s and like 90s 34-year-old rookies. Now you don't anymore. They're between like 20 and 25.
Yeah, I know.
So
Let's win one for the old guys.
well,
You know.
congrats.
Thank you.
But it's just it's kind of nuts to see how well he's done, and he's currently 13th in points. I mean, I guess that doesn't matter for him as much now because he's locked into the playoffs. but you know, he did it at Phoenix. He's done it in all different styles of tracks: Daytona, Atlanta, Phoenix, and now here at Las Vegas. And the 21 we always thought was going to be a great car. They got the right. It seems like they got the right driver in it. They changed the crew a little bit as well. It seems that Josh Berry is poised for a really, really big rookie season.
I think he's going to be a contender,
or not
sure.
A rookie season. His first year with
first year with the
Wood Brothers. He's not a rookie. Sorry.
Point taken, though. I think as we get further into the season, and we see kind of the I hate the term cream rise to the top, but you see the drivers we expect to be up front run up front. Finally, so we talked about it last week. Trackhouse hadn't had a great season. I think Shane Van Gisbergen showed up today. He's a bit of the sophomore slump kind of. Things have not gone his way. They had some tire issues kind of all day today, but not loose wheels. They just had some things go wrong. But Ross Chastain, Daniel Suarez, they figured it out. We said last week, you can't count those guys out. They're going to get there at some point, and they did today for sure. William Byron continues to be consistent. Of note, you really didn't hear from Christopher Bell much today. They had an issue on pit road. Amazing call. I'd love to at some point hear the radio from this, where they realized they had a loose left front wheel. And they managed to communicate enough down the line and through the JGR organization that he pulled into Chase Briscoe's pit box and they fixed the problem. Now, I don't know what kind of internal team comms they have for the crew chiefs to communicate to let them know that was happening, but heads up move by everybody.
So I actually have the breakdown for you. Jeff Gluck went back and listened to it. He said, spotter says, stop in a box, stop in a box. Steven says, tighten up the left sides, tighten up the left sides. Bell then dodges the car and cuts back down to Briscoe's pit box and stops. Tighten up the lefts down there. They do it and he leaves. They got the left front. They did not get the left rear. That's fine. It was the left front. Good job there. You guys too. Thanks for giving me the heads up. So I think in the command center, they can hear all the team's audio. So I'm assuming audio we can't get is that they're feeding the audio to the team, like to the other team in the command center is my guess.
Yes. And we have heard rumors in the past that the crew chiefs, especially in an organization, have like an all channel radio where you can hear across every team. You can make, which is handy on plate tracks when you're trying to coordinate pit stops. Of course, we had the kind of the famous story recently is Ray Evernham saying that he had communications with Andy Petrie back in the day. I mean, 30 years ago. But they had their own private radio channel. So it's not unprecedented to know that crew chiefs talk to each other. But heads up driving by Chris Bell, who still is not the points leader despite having the most wins on the season. And want to give a shout out to Ryan Preece.
William Byron, by the way.
William Byron, still your points leader. Again, I think he's gonna contend for the championship this year, I think. Unless the wheels completely fall off. What the 24 team is doing. He's been consistent all year long. And is just putting in the work, which you have to do at this time of year is be consistent. He's already got the win, so he's into the playoffs. But you want to, notch stage points. Those bonus points are going to be so important come the playoffs. Didn't obviously Chris Bell winning 3 of the first 5 means that guys we would have expect to maybe have had a win early on in this season. Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney, Ross Chastain, Suarez, the drivers who are fast. Got to give credit to Alex Bowman, too. He's had a really solid season after he was practically written off last year.
I want to formally apologize to Alex Bowman. I picked him to win today, and I think that's what cursed him. So I'm sorry, Alex.
He was, he was solid there in the first couple segments and then got caught up in some shenanigans on track, and it didn't really
Loose
go his way.
wheel.
But again, loose wheel. I don't know what it was today
So many
with
contenders either had a loose wheel or a pit road penalty, and they would get marred back, and it would take them forever to get back up through the field.
yeah.
And it was something interesting. Of note, Joey Logano is currently 8th in points. Still doesn't have a top 10.
And I would need to see updated statistics after
He had the
today.
most lead laps before this race. I think Cindric passed him because they were close. But still.
Yeah, good season so far for Joey Logano, who
it seems to be
he's
he's living up to his the way he's living up to it. Let's just put it that way. He's making the most of this system. Let's put it that way.
And you can give him a little bit of grief for his lack of performance, which really isn't that. But you know what he is? He's a 3-time Cup champion, which is something most people will not be. And he's going to go down. He's obviously a future Hall of Famer. He's going to go down as one of the all-time greats. And if you compare not to say that Josh Berry's career is going to be anything like Joey Logano's, because they're just not going to have the same seat time at the Cup level at this point. But Berry's trajectory to the Cup Series, where he spent so much time, so much seat time, learning how to manage tires and manage fuel and the things you have to do to be successful at the short track level. And now he gets into the Cup Series in a car that is very competitive. Don't think this is the last win he's going to get this season. Obviously, not going to be the last of his career, because, the Wood Brothers sort of pattern is you bring a guy in, you help him grow and mature, and then he's off to another organization.
Yeah. I think Berry's there long term. At least for
there's no reason to make it. Yeah, there's no real reason to make a change.
Well, obviously not after today.
Right.
Interesting comment to see all the SHR guys doing pretty well who left. Grayson was doing well till he had the tire incident.
And he's had a pretty solid start to the season until, the cartoon anvil falls on him, as it were.
Yeah.
Ran well at Coda, had tire issues. Ran well last week at Phoenix, had an issue towards the end of the race. I think if Gregson can figure out how to finish one of these things, he's going to be, a kid to watch coming up. But the comparison in young drivers, guys early in their premier level career, Josh Berry was all the seat time, and then you look at the F1 field today, which had 5 rookies in it. I'm not sure all of those 5 could, legally buy alcohol here in the United States. So it's a interesting dichotomy to see how one guy, not all paths to the top are traditional, shall we say. But overall, it's a feel good story. It's the Wood Brothers. The Wood Brothers back in victory lane at not a plate track.
Yeah, 101st victory. And it's not like, and I feel like a lot of people have dunked on Harrison Burton of late, and people need to realize the Wood Brothers had a change of leadership. The kids now became they had a change of leadership. The younger generation is now taking over. They've made sweeping leadership changes. It wasn't just they took Harrison Burton out and put Josh Berry in and got found all this speed. They had a complete reorganization with the Wood Brothers, and obviously they have the Penske Alliance, and maybe they've gotten more resources this year, maybe not. I don't know, but this leadership change, this organizational change, and adding Josh Berry have led to great success at the start of the season, and I think this is going to be something that we'll see throughout the season. That I think Josh Berry is just a really good race car driver, and he is with a team that appears to be figuring out how it's going to work out and how to make cars go fast, and that's what they're doing.
And I think the influx of money they got last year due to Harrison Burton winning at Daytona and the bonus prize money. $1 million or whatever it ended up being. I know it was multiple seven figures. That's going to help any organization, regardless of who you are. So I don't think they get to this point this early in the season without the work Harrison Burton did last year, getting that car into the playoffs. There was a lot of talk last year about, do we need to change the playoffs? Do you need to change this? Because Burton was 32nd in points and he got in all this. And what was kind of left out of that conversation was what that meant to the Wood brothers. And you can see it here. It's paid off in spades on the season. Barry is 13th in points. He's got one win, two top 10s, two top 5s, and two DNFs.
And those two DNFs were at Atlanta and Talladega or Dega, where he was competitive, right?
Yeah,
he wrecked at both races, kind of like Cindric.
He wrecked it. He wrecked at both races. He got taken out in one of the melees at Daytona, and the same thing. He got wiped out in Atlanta running up front. He has run up front every week this season. And as they head into the next few races, Homestead next week, no reason to think that car's not going to be fast at Homestead. We'll see. I would like to touch on briefly as we wait for Brian Nolan to join us, who's currently hanging out in the celebratory Wood Brothers press conference in the media center there at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. The move by Justin Haley when Ryan Blaney had his issue to thread the needle. I mean, he dropped it into fifth gear and buried the loud pedal and split the uprights there. Great move by Justin Haley. Carson Hocevar was up front a little bit. I don't think he was really a threat to win, but he was up front again for the fifth consecutive week. Michael McDowell started on the front row, led some laps, contended, but I think they just didn't have the long run speed in that car for him to remain competitive. And I am convinced, and somebody feel free to correct me here, but the move he made from front row to Spire, I think, was driven in large part by an opportunity for him to be basically a Hendrick test driver.
For McDowell or Haley?
Yeah, McDowell.
Okay.
So McDowell,
I think it's Haley,
McDowell gets, maybe both. I think
it seemed, because here's the thing, and because remember the Alex Bowman rumor at the end of last year? It wasn't Michael McDowell replacing him. It was Justin Haley.
Yeah.
That's why I think that.
Well, and Haley's been on that track for a while. He's been in the Spire family for some time.
Left for, well, he raced him when he was with Colleague and Xfinity, and then he went to Colleague. Then he did Rick Ware and back to Spire.
Yeah. But I think McDowell, as a veteran driver who's been in all kinds of forms of motorsport. I mean, he raced Champ Car, he raced sports cars, he's been in Cup forever. I think he was presented with the opportunity to do something really cool with Chevy, kind of in the waning years of his career, where he gets an opportunity to work on stuff that will make the rest of those cars fast. And he can use all his experience and his seat time to say, hey, this will work for this situation. I mean, I guarantee you that they're giving him good stuff and he can go out and compete. But there was a setup on that car that was probably geared towards a theory for the playoff race. And that car is just out there to gather data.
Which car? The
71.
Okay. Assuming they make the playoffs. And also they would have to get to what? The round of 8?
No, any of them. No, it's just a Hendrick test setup. So
I see what you're saying.
Whatever those guys cook up in the shop there, they throw it on the 71 car. McDowell goes out and gathers the data and says, hey, this works, this doesn't. Because again, super fast. He's qualified inside the top 10, I think, every race this year.
Yeah, I think he's just a good qualifier. I was gonna make I think he's a Ryan, I was gonna make this and I thought it was overreactionary after he won the pole. He might be this era's Ryan Newman. And Newman, I think, won more, but I think he was just Newman was in better equipment. He was in Penske and stuff like that. And Newman obviously made a champ 4, but like a really good qualifier, like a really, really good like probably his best skill is his qualifying.
Yeah.
Newman that, he's the rocket man because he won all those poles. And he's just tough to pass on the racetrack. And that might be McDowell. Both have won a Daytona 500.
True.
So that might be it's not a perfect comparison because I don't think Newman was the, road course ace like McDowell is. I think McDowell saw the investment that Spire was doing, which basically is something we haven't seen in quite some time, maybe outside of Trackhouse in 2311. But like this team heavily reinvesting themselves, buying a truck team, whatever they're getting from Andretti and that, I guess, formula, like the parent company that is Andretti Global and Cadillac F1, and now it's also Spire. I just think he sees that as like hey, I might be able to do other stuff too with this
Yeah,
team.
I was
So
just thinking
in
that
their investment in motorsports as a whole, so he's joining them. He might, honestly, I think he's just getting paid more. Like that's ultimately.
Well, yeah.
I think the decision came down to simple, like, because FRM is getting more investment, and he probably knew something about the lawsuit, and it's like, hey, I'm in the latter year of my career, like, I don't want that uncertainty with FRM right now. I get more money and I get certainty because you look at FRM, I actually like what they're doing by just having 3 really young guys in their car, and if I'm them, I keep them as long as I can because I think Zane, Todd, and Noah all have talent, and if you can develop a young team that with your so that's I sit there and I'm like, I think he was like, I can get paid more, and I'm in a more and I don't think FRM is unstable, just more stable with Spire at this point because of outside factors.
For sure. And the opportunity, I think you make a great point. There's an opportunity there, not immediate,
I
but
don't
hey,
think he'll get an Indy car or a
oh goodness, no. But
definitely won't see him race in Formula One.
no, but
Actually,
I think
spoiler alert: McDowell will replace Colton Herta when Cadillac F1 announces him as their F1 driver.
yeah. I think you could see him though at some point in a Cadillac GTP.
True. Like he
He
does the
can
Daytona 24.
does the 24, maybe they're endurance races. I mean, you kind of see it now where those guys have a second act in a different form of racing, and he's no stranger to sports cars and road racing. So we'll kind of be interesting to see how that develops and how much more speed Spire can wring out of their cars this year. I think if you're picking somebody to win next, I think you got to look at Hocevar. Just from the aggression standpoint, he's willing to kind of lay it all on the line.
From Spire or from like next first time winner?
Just in general, it's either him or Ryan Preece. Yeah, Preece finished third.
I'm going Ty Gibbs based off equipment. I know he sucked this week. I'm still going Ty Gibbs. He's in a Gibbs car.
Ty Gibbs did not have an amazing 24 hours in Las Vegas.
Well, I will say this. The fact he made the main, I know he wrecked in the main at high with that many level of sprint dirt cars just shows how much talent he has.
And for sure.
I will add this. I think Ty, it's just more of banking on Gibbs than anything else. I think Gibbs was not great today as a whole. Like
Hamlin,
the only time they were up front is when strategy fell their way.
Yep, Hamlin finished.
Hamlin might have been the only one that had like some speed, but it was late.
Hamlin finished.
I can look it up.
Hamlin finished. I can't even find him. 25th.
Yeah. So
what happened?
He got strategy on his bad strategy. So yeah, Hamlin 25th. Ty Gibbs.
Did Hamlin get caught up in the Blaney melee?
No. Gibbs 22nd. Briscoe
came up on pit road.
Briscoe was 17th, and then Bell was 12th. And I think with Hamlin, he did speed late in the race.
That would do it. Hey, pit road. Denny Hamlin and pit road are like oil and water. They, the race is official at that point when Hamlin gets a pit road speeding penalty. Not a good weekend for JGR all the way around. You don't feel that bad for them because of the success they've had early this season. And again, Ty Gibbs, to your point, great race car driver, has just not necessarily had the luck needed, I think, to string one of these all the way together. And I'm not entirely sure he's got a bunch of dirt experience. So it takes a really, really good.
No, I think this first year was his first time really doing dirt cars.
Yeah, I mean, you jump in a 410 sprint car, that's a whole different animal. And to make the A main, and then you don't want to make the highlight reel in the manner he did. But you go from upside down on the bull ring to sideways on pit road to finish in 22nd. Not a great day for guys we thought were going to contend. Tyler Reddick, who led laps, finished 24th. Bubba Wallace got caught up in the Ryan Blaney incident. Yeah, and then the RCR again, just an organization that is struggling to find their way. Kyle Busch ran up front, had a miscue on pit road,
Loose wheel,
loose wheel comes off the hub. The whole thing comes apart. You got to go behind the wall. Finishes 33rd. Austin Dillon finishes 32nd. They just they've had some struggles all season long. Again, and we can add them back into the category of teams that we would have expected to perhaps perform a little better than they are. But when an organization like RCR is getting outrun by Spire on a weekly basis, makes you wonder what those competition meetings are like there in Welcome, North Carolina.
Yeah, I thought I was having hopeful for his pit crew. They were doing a lot better. Just the same issues seem to be popping up for RCR. And
yeah,
time in, time out.
Some changes need to be made there. And maybe at some point after he has retired and moved on to his next career in television.
Well, think about this.
We'll hear from Kyle Busch and the explanation as to exactly what what precipitated that move.
I was gonna say is I lost my train of thought. I was gonna say this is Kyle Busch's last year with RCR. Like, this could be much as I think Kyle Busch is still proven he's Kyle Busch. I think he's proved that. This could be, instead of RCR wanting Kyle back, Kyle not wanting to come back. And
I mean,
I wouldn't,
I wouldn't blame him.
And where does he Kyle Busch a free agent? I mean, he already has a relationship with Spire, so he has a relationship with Colleague. He has a relationship with that was the rumor was Colleague Racing was his next spot. So who knows? Colleague has showed speed.
Yeah, they have.
Do I think Kyle Busch would leave an RCR team for an RCR affiliated team? I don't think so.
No, but does he? Is that a track house?
That one I don't think they're too packed up.
Well, Suarez in the last year.
Zach, maybe HMS. It's Kyle Busch, man.
It's KFB. See where
back to Joe Gibbs.
If here's a wild, unfounded theory that has no basis in reality. Denny Hamlin leaves JGR. He becomes the third car at his own race team, which opens up the opportunity for Ty Gibbs to move into the 11, and Kyle Busch takes the 54 to finish his career. Returns to Gibbs.
It would be there you go. So I wonder if they would. I see what you're saying now. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I would assume that the 11 would become the 18 again.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that would make sense, of course.
But
It'll be interesting to see. You got some guys, in the last year of their contract with Kyle Busch and RCR and Daniel Suarez with Trackhouse. If Suarez doesn't re-sign there, where does he end up? There aren't that many seats available in top flight teams. And Suarez has proven he can win and he can run up front. So where does a guy like him end up? I don't know.
yeah, I mean, there's too many questions. Can we just? You know what? Can we stop the silly season talk?
It's right. Yeah, it's race 5, and we're already silly.
And we have a fun win. I mean, this is fun. We did Josh Berry. It was great racing with Suarez. Like in my head, I'm like, in my head with Suarez, I'm like, I think Suarez is in the conversation for driver with the most pressure on him.
Yeah,
like I seriously think that. And the fact that his crew did a really good job, and Barry probably had a better car, and Barry just beat him straight up. But Josh Berry did great on the final restart. They raced clean for those final couple of laps, and Barry got it. But let's give a shout out to Trackhouse. You mentioned it, 2 in the top 5. I don't count, like, it's sort of like I'm with the 2311 results. I'm not counting Riley Herbst because he's a rookie. I'm not counting SVG yet on ovals. Like, I'm not like, that can't be indicative of how good the car is, because you just skill set wise, and like, you could give the SVG the best car possible. I don't think he would win an oval race with it.
I think
the key word is yet.
Yet. Yeah. I think he figures out that racecraft soon. The livery, though, P1 on the day. That Red Bull car looks sick.
I have to disagree.
Oh, see, but
because you are my fire. You are my desire.
Was there a Backstreet Boys car?
Yeah, you didn't know this?
I didn't.
Jonathan Nemechek had a Backstreet Boys car.
Oh, I was too busy looking at his teammate Eric Jones in the Skull Bandit-esque 43.
Nah,
that's why the Backstreet Boys.
All right.
All right. Well, I don't know. I appreciate a good Red Bull car from my time around the Champ Car World Series.
It looked great, but we just saw it the other,
We did. I did pre-order. I pre-ordered the Village diecast. I think that'll be a fun thing to have just on the shelf whenever it shows up.
That's not a bad shout.
No, we'll see. Whenever it gets here.
I have to pull the image up. Okay, there you go. See the Backstreet car, because they're going to be in the Sphere.
Look at that.
They're in the Sphere in Las Vegas.
I don't want to age myself necessarily, but I remember listening to the Backstreet Boys on the radio.
Stereo.
Stereo.
The way you move ain't fair, Shot the train.
That's a good reference. Good reference.
Like early 2000s, late 90s songs are all like I can just
There you go. Oh. I do agree with this as we talk about our diecasts.
Yeah,
I think this will be a popular pre-order from lineup.
It's the 75th anniversary of the Wood Brothers this year as well. Don't forget that.
And I'm surprised they didn't do the all red version as a diecast from the Clash, because that one was pretty sweet too.
They're not? I'm shocked.
I haven't seen it yet. So we are waiting patiently for our at-track reporter Brian Nolan to join us.
Stupid Brian Nolan.
We're filling time. If you haven't noticed, we're in the podcast version of Rainfill on a broadcast. We've kind of run out of things to talk about, and now we're talking about 90 songs and diecast while we wait for Brian Nolan to tell us everything he's heard from the track, and he'll show up at some point. I'm a little surprised looking at the rundown. Brad Keselowski finishes 11th, kind of where we expect him to run these days. Occasionally he'll crack off a top 5, might contend for a win, but that's kind of par for the course. Chase Elliott, where do you think Chase is in points?
Where's Chase in points?
Without looking it up, where's Chase Elliott in points?
4th.
Okay, you cheated. He's in fourth.
Well, I had the points up at the start because I talked about the points. So I didn't cheat. I didn't cheat on this. I didn't cheat when you asked the question. I just already knew it.
He won top 5 on the season. 3 top 10s.
I mean,
Very
it's Byron
Logano-esque.
Byron, Bell, Reddick, Elliott, Bowman, Larson, Blaney, Logano, Busher, Chastain are your top 10. Wallace, Hamlin, Barry, McDowell, Nemechek, and Stenhouse around your top 16. So that would be your playoff field if the playoffs started today.
And Kyle Busch fell 9.9 spots in the points.
Well, this is now a repeat of last year. I mean, he was first in the points post Atlanta last year. He was third post Atlanta this year, and he just all of a sudden falls off a cliff.
But not a huge surprise. RCR, everybody brings a fast car to a super speedway. Like, there are teams that are slightly better, but if you've got a good engine package and a driver who's got a solid head on their shoulders, you're going to come out of those, and you avoid all the chaos. You're going to come out of those races with a solid finish. But RCR continues their struggles. But when not to lump hate on that organization, but I think when Austin Dillon is your primary driver for so many years, like, you're not making a ton of gains developmentally wise.
Yeah, I mean, you have Kyle Busch. Like, it doesn't matter who you have the second driver. You have Kyle friggin' Busch. Like,
yes.
That's at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, yes. But if you, if your organization hasn't been poised to make gains and make changes, and it's hard for a 2-car team they're probably not even like the 3rd ranked Chevy team. Hendrick Spire, right? Trackhouse is going to be your 3rd, or 2nd at that point. RCR's maybe like a B tier Chevy team in terms of the factory support they get. And even if you bring in a driver like Kyle Busch, who knows his way around these race cars, that's not immediately going to give you access to an improvement in engineering. But we do have Brian Nolan joining us live from Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Can you hear us, Brian?
400.
Hi, guys.
Okay.
Thumbs up from Brian. Oh, he's got the mic flag, the whole 9 yards. Grandstands in the background.
Brian, actually, we went through this and we practiced this and got Brian set up nicely.
Oh, no, you can go through. You're good.
I won't be caught in the screen then.
So grab him, bring him in for an interview, see what he has to say about the race. Chase him down.
Oh, no, they're just pit crew guys. They're just cleaning up and everything. But, hey, guys, how's it going?
Good. How are you? What did the Wood brothers have to say?
I mean, it's like the first time I feel like in like 20 years they've had back-to-back wins with a win in consecutive seasons. So, I mean, 9th first-time winner that they've had, and Eddie Wood said that was his most prized thing of all of being an owner was how many first-time winners. We saw it with Harrison Burton last year. We've seen it with Ryan Blaney. Dale Jarrett. And then now we see it with Josh Berry. So, I mean, really cool to see Josh Berry. And you guys have probably talked about this, but I feel like this came out of nowhere. 32 lead changes, according to not our stat guy, Mr. Steven Stump, but our content director, Dalton Hopkins, and most in Las Vegas history. So a little bit of a different race. This is usually a quote-unquote boring race for Las Vegas standards. But, I mean, we had a big wreck. We had tons of passing, potential fuel mileage, and it ended up with a first-time winner.
It was an enjoyable race to watch, from the comfort of the couch here in Tennessee. What was it like at the track?
It was fun. I mean, it felt like it was going to be, a normal March race. Kyle Larson dominates or William Byron dominates. And then you had the different strategies. It looked like it was going to be a fuel mileage race. Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick came in, and then all chaos broke loose with Noah Gragson getting a tire cut on his number 4 car, slamming into the internal one or turn 2 wall. That set up everybody that did not come in on green flag pit stops like Daniel Suarez, like Josh Berry, like Ryan Preece, like Ross Chastain. And you know what? They had great finishes. Ryan Preece got a third for him in RFK racing. Chastain had speed all weekend long, and especially all day. He finished in fourth. And then Daniel Suarez in a make or break year, finishing second. Big time boost for that number 99 group.
What did I know you've talked to a lot of drivers after the race, and you share normal duties along with Michael Massey, who's there with you, covering this for Front Stretch.
Gosh,
It's windy there in Las Vegas.
It really is. Sorry, guys.
I'm gonna kick you off until the wind comes on. All right. All right. Is the wind gone, Brian?
It's Las Vegas. There's a lot of hot air.
Yeah. Well,
like always in March, it's super, super windy. October, or should I say September/October is better, but I mean every March it's so windy.
So, as I was saying, you talked to the guys who finished up front. Suarez, put in the type of day that he needs to have more of if he hopes to, continue racing at the top level. What did he have to say?
Yeah, he said he just needed a little bit of a better restart. He tried as much as he could to try and beat Josh Berry in that 21 team, but he said he really just needed a long run. Josh was better on the short run. He was better on the long run, and unfortunately for him, they went back to grooves, I think, about like 18 or so laps ago, and that's all that she wrote for Josh Berry. So if the caution would have came out with like 35 or 40, we potentially could be seeing a different winter, guys.
Well, that is the one thing that's fun about racing is sometimes the chips don't necessarily fall your way, but in Las Vegas, It came up red 21.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Brian, do you think Byron would have got there if it was a longer run? Because it seemed like he had a really good long run car.
That's a great question, Trey, because when the restart first happened, it looked like he was going to get there. And then I don't know if it was dirty air or what, he just stalled out. He literally just stalled out trying to pass Chastain and never could get up there. But, when he was, I don't know, he restarted 7th or 8th, something like that, and he was making his way up. And then once he got to like 4th or 5th, he just stopped. And it was the weirdest thing. I actually thought he was going to win this race. But unfortunately for him, he had to settle for a top 5. But tough result for him. I know that he probably had one of the fastest cars, that's for sure.
He was up there in contention all day long. You were there all weekend. You and Michael Massey took in a bunch of racing from the trucks to Xfinity to High Limit last night. What's your takeaway from all the rest of the racing that happened out there in Las Vegas?
Well, I got to cover my first dirt race. That was cool. It's very, very dirty. It was, I had to take an extra shower when I got back to the hotel. I know, crazy. But Corey Days for real, man. He is an absolute stud. Cool to see Casey Kane back in action. Talk with him about his Rockingham Xfinity ride coming up next month at the return of the Rock. And then truck race, only in NASCAR could we get rain for the trucks, but Corey Heim did it. And then Xfinity, it felt like Justin Allgaier was going, something's going to happen to him. Something's going to happen. Nothing did happen. You know what? He got the job done, dominating fashion, and he got his first victory of the season. So good stuff from Allgaier there. Overall, it was a good day. I really think that this was one of the best Vegas races that I've covered, let alone just watched. Track, a new record for track, or should I say lead changes. And it was just enjoyable. There's comers and goers. We thought we were going to get a fuel mileage race. I had a really, really enjoyable experience covering it.
It sounded like Goodyear brought a different tire this time around than they had last time. That may have been a little more in line with the soft compound that we're going to see at more short tracks. Tire fall off is a good thing in this sport.
Yeah, and I was a little intrigued to see what the general consensus was among the garage. The couple crew chiefs didn't even want to talk about it. They said it was fine, but we saw a lot of tire. There were some tire issues. Ryan Blaney crashed in practice because of it. You had Shane Van Gisbergen, I think 2 tires went down. You had Joe Brigson, a tire went down. There's a plethora of tires going down. So I'm intrigued to see if it will be different come the short tracks, just because it's not as high speed, but it's something to keep your eye on for the upcoming weeks.
For sure. What other storylines are there coming out of Vegas as we head back across the country to Miami next weekend?
I think there's something serious going on with Ty Gibbs, guys. I mean, once again, absolutely dreadful. He is below 30th again in the point standings. Wasn't even close in contention. He flipped his sprint car first ever race. He flipped it in turn 3 yesterday. I mean, it's been a season from you know what for him, and I don't know what's going to be different for him in the upcoming weeks. But he needs to turn it around and turn it around fast, because Harrison Burton and Josh Berry have a win before Ty Gibbs in the NASCAR Cup Series. That's something to see. But be looking for him. And then next week, how will HMS rebound? They had 2 great opportunities for a win, did not get it in William Byron, Kyle Larson. Also, the streak for 4 in a row did not happen. Christopher Bell, honestly, was kind of non-existent. He was, I think, at times he was like second, but other than that, he was just nothing. So. Intrigued to see what happens at Homestead with him and then the HMS camp, that's for sure.
Yeah, Ty Gibbs is 1 spot ahead of Cole Custer, who is 35th in points, the lowest of the full-time entrants this year. Cody Ware's finishing 37th in points after today out of 5 races. 1 spot behind Jimmy Johnson, who's only had 1 race, but that was a very much well-deserved top 5 finish in the Daytona 500 for 7 times. So nowhere to go but up for the 54 team this season, I think.
I mean, when it rains, it pours, and it's currently monsooning for them.
But he's been, to your point, from the Clash, has had trouble.
Yeah,
season just didn't start well for him at all.
Yeah, I mean, he's flipped he's been on the air for like 3 times. I mean, one was Bowman Gray, one was Austin, and then on Saturday night. So not the best season for Ty Gibbs. Hopefully that they can change their luck at Homestead next weekend.
It's certainly not the way you want to get your frequent flyer miles. A surprise I thought today was how well Eric Jones ran. In the Legacy Motor Club car, which is top 5 for much of the day until he got caught up in the shenanigans with Ryan Blaney there towards the end of the day.
Yeah, as you can see, it is so windy that like we have like stuff like falling off here. I mean, it's very, very windy. But yeah, what a weird starting lineup it was. I mean, you had Eric Jones, you had Michael McDowell, his first ever Spire pole for him. Really weird. And then you have that big wreck that just eliminated everybody. One person that I think is wanting to leave and wanting to leave badly is Ryan Blaney. Wrecked in qualifying, they fixed wrecked in practice, they fixed the primary car, then wrecked in the race. He did not have a fun trip to Sin City, that's for sure.
I have good news.
No, it looked like a guy who was going to be in contention for much of the day. He and Joey Logano looked like they were going to be, they were going to give their Penske teammate Austin Cindric a run for his money, and it ends up being the Penske satellite team of the Wood brothers and Josh Berry who gets the W today.
Good news.
Yeah,
Josh Berry did win this race. Post-race inspection complete.
Thank God.
Chastain, Cindric, Bell, and Byron we take it to the R&D center. So there you go.
Chastain, Bell. Okay. Well, I'm glad that we don't have to do any more post-race.
We don't have to
besides
change
our normal.
Literally,
though, right?
Matt,
we're
who
going
won
to
the
be good.
race? It was Josh Berry who won the race. Just to answer your question.
But we're glad to have you here, Matt. Thanks for joining us as we talk through the Vegas. I'm guessing because you don't know who won, you didn't get a chance to watch, but you can catch that replay on the NASCAR.com sphere of digital media, and you can read all about it on frontstretch.com. So glad to have you, Matt Church. So thanks for watching, and thanks to everybody else who has joined in and chimed in on the conversation today. Brian, final thoughts from Las Vegas?
Yeah, first Ford that got a victory this season, was not expecting it to be in Josh Berry. Once again, Joey Logano, something goes wrong in an odd number of year, and he has not gotten a top 10 at all this year. Was not in the mood to chat. Carson Hocevar, Ty Gibbs got into it. Hocevar didn't want to chat. Chase Briscoe didn't want to chat. There was a lot of angry people in the garage after this race. So it was not a fun time, that's for sure. But you know who is having a fun time? That's Josh Berry, because he got his first career win and he's now locked into the playoffs.
So Ty Gibbs and Carson Hocevar had some conflict. Was that due to the incident on pit road, or something else happened on track?
Yeah, it looked like Hocevar was going to have a great day, and then he got contact with Gibbs, and everything just spiraled. He had to have a mid-grade late pit stop, and it just went from bad to worse. Our Michael Massey tried to talk to him, and he vehemently declined. So understandable, but disappointing for everybody at the 77 crew.
All right, and Hocevar is a friend of the channel, so it must have been something that really irked him, for him to decline comments. But such is big time NASCAR racing sometimes. All right, so you and Michael are wrapping up your duties there at the track. It is currently about 6 o'clock Las Vegas time. What do you guys have planned for the rest of the evening? Are you going to check out the sites? Going back to the hotel? You're going to crash?
Try to beat Denny Hamlin's slot wins,
Brother, no one's beating Denny Hamlin's slot. That guy's probably made more money than Josh Berry probably made today. Let's be honest, because he's made probably 7 figures this trip. No, we're gonna get food, and then I'm gonna go to the airport, and I'm gonna go home and see my wife and my dogs. So always love getting to be in my own bed after the covering a race in the NASCAR Cup Series. So a little quick in Friday morning, out Sunday night, but that's just life. Covering this sport we call NASCAR. So food and then airport time.
Well, God bless you for taking the red eye. We do have a question from a viewer, David Hunninger, wants to know why they're taking those 3 specific cars to R&D.
It's 4.
It is a little curious. Well, plus the winner, but the other 3.
1, 2, 20, and 24 going to R&D. Josh Berry's not.
1, 2,
20, and 24.
Cedric Chastain, Byron, and Bell.
Okay.
It could be for a multitude of reasons. Honestly,
it's just random.
It's a random draw. Well, there you go. We've got that information. All right, Trey. Final thoughts.
Fast cars go fast. Fun race.
Fast cars go fast.
Maybe the best Vegas race we've seen. Maybe.
Yeah,
it was a pretty good.
It's
it was
up there.
A good Vegas race.
And this
is a lot
is
of
March.
Passing.
We sleep in May.
A lot of passing. A lot of guys running up front. A lot of drama, a lot of carnage. I think we've had 5 good races to start the season, and we
also
know
I hate the Ivy League. I just want to note that I hate the Ivy League. They took bids for my beautiful Virginia Tech in the women's tournament, so I hate the Ivy League.
Once again, Trey, this is not a sports show. This is a NASCAR show.
I know, but
it is Selection Sunday, so we got.
It's
worth noting.
Like you do sometimes on Bring the Heat, you make me so angry that I just got to get it out. I just got to get it out.
That's weekly for you, though. I am a pain in your you know what, but
imagine when that happens, and now hey, you should feel the same way. I just want to say that you just yell you hate North Carolina, and you'll be good. It feels good.
I'm sad. I'm very sad.
His Boise State Broncos did not make the NCAA tournament.
They did not.
It happens. Hey, but Tennessee's a 2 seed, so go Vols. The basketballs are dancing again. All right, so NASCAR is off to Homestead. I think a lot of folks believe that Homestead, not Vegas, should host the championship because it does put on an absolutely amazing race. So I think we can expect 6 consecutive weeks of good racing across all 3 series. If you had to pick a driver, who do you think runs up front next week?
Kyle Larson, and Kyle Larson. This is Larson's favorite. Kyle Larson, and Kyle Larson. No, obviously Reddick will be up there. Bell will be up there. Blaney will be up there. I think it'll be between those 4. I think this is a driver's track. They love this track, and track sometimes loves them back, and sometimes just bites them in the you know what. and they slap the ball and their day's done. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting to see what the attendance is. I truly do think that if attendance is bad, we may not get a championship finale there, no matter how good the racing is. So just food for thought for those that are maybe potentially thinking about going to the racetrack. If you want to see a championship race decided probably next year or many years to come, I'd probably go.
I can't even find Tyler
Which one?
Reddick in the standings.
Oh yeah, he's third. I got
That's
it.
why I can't see him. I was looking at him. I'm like, where is he?
He's been really good.
What has happened to him? I was curious about his. He's had 2 top 5s, 2 top 10s. Decent start of the season. I think, if you had to pick a guy not named Christopher Bell from the Toyota camp, I think Tyler Reddick's your next driver. I think Chase Briscoe has got to show that he deserves to be in a Gibbs car. Some things happened this year, not of his own doing, but still has not performed where he should there. Ty Gibbs has to figure some things out. Kyle Larson is going to get that win sooner rather than later. So I think those are all very safe picks. Boys, as usual, it has been an absolute pleasure to talk racing with you both. Brian, safe travels back. Trey, enjoy watching the rest of your Selection Sunday.
It's over now.
Sports.
We're good.
It's over. It's 9 o'clock. Yeah, it's over. It's time to go.
I'm
Time to wrap
bed.
it up. We all got work tomorrow. We got other things to do. Thank you all for watching. Again, if you want to check out all are as the 2311 pit box goes by in the background to sign us off. Frontstretch.com for all your racing related content. For Brian and Trey, I'm Kyle Benjamin. We will see you all next Sunday. Same bat time, same bat channel. Take it easy.
Peace.